إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم وفرقانه المجيد وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Respected scholars, my sisters and brothers, my youngsters, my elders, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بعبد الله وأهل بيت النبوية on this Shahadat night of Siddiqat Zahira, al-A'imma Fatimah Al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. I extend condolences to the Imam of the time, Imam Al-Hujjah, to the believers, to the family of the Prophet, to the household of the Holy Prophet, and all those who are mourning on these nights that we are about to finish and with the known as the Ayyam Fatimiyya. There is an interesting book written by a scholar who just passed away fairly recently, in which he mentions, the scholar's name is Marhum Ayatullah Al-Uzama Sheikh Lutfullah Safi Gul Paygani, who wrote a book, a small booklet called Fatimiya is Ashura. And in that booklet, he actually mentions about the fact that the events leading to the Shahadat of Fatimah Zahra salamullahi alayha were no less important and powerful and impactful than the Shahadat than Mawla Aba Abdullah's Shahadat as well. And in this recollection, there was another thing as I was preparing for the discussion tonight. And inshallah, bi'idhnillah, if all of you have a little bit of strength or energy left, we'll have a little bit of time for question and answer and some discussion after the lecture, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. And I always find and I always feel that the question and answers are more effective than just a lecture, because that gives you, as the audience, a chance to not only ask about whether it's about the lecture or whether it's about general issues as a whole, and at the same time, when you try to remember it afterwards, there may be some degree of loss or forgetfulness on all of our parts. And so inshallah, if your energy level is there, we will try and do that. There was another, as I was preparing for today's discussion and lecture, there was another interesting quotation I had come across many years ago. There was an alim when I used to live in Qom, we used to recite our Salatul Jamaat behind him. And I remember very vividly that in the complex, if any of you have been to Sayeda Masuma alayha salam in Qom, you will know that the actual haram, the Zari area, is in an enclosed area, and then there's what we call a courtyard, a sahan area, and then you exit that. And in that sahan, in that courtyard area, we used to do Salatul Jamaat at the time for Maghrib and Isha Salam. And one of the leaders, the main person who used to lead the Salatul Jamaat there was another scholar who had passed away numerous years ago, Ayatollah Al-Uzma Marhum Sheikh Sayyid Shahabuddin Mar'ashi Najafi. And this was the life of Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi is a very beautiful and exemplary life as well. All of our Maraja have got very unique and distinctive features. Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi was known for his knowledge of genealogy. Usually people would go and tell him their name, their father's name, and their grandfather's name, and the Maraja used to be able to take the line right up to the Imam Ma'asum. Oftentimes, some of my fellow students used to tell me that people would sometimes go with a white amama, and Agha would tell them, you are a Sayyid, take off the white amama, he would give them a black amama, they were Sayyids. And oftentimes it would happen the other way around as well. People who thought they were Sayyids, they would take their black amama, they would go to the presence of Agha and the Marja, and he would say, take off your black amama, you are a Sheikh, you are not a Sayyid. There's a problem in that lineage going up to the Imam. So Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi was known for that and for that knowledge. And there was numerous other things, but the one thing that I wanted to share before I come to his quotation on Hazrat Al-Zahra was that he was the only Marja in his generation, out of those senior leading Maraja, who was not Al-Hajj, who had not done Hajj. He was very poor. And his goal, his whole intention was to build up this knowledge and this library, which if you go to Qum today, the largest personal library. So, we're not talking about other libraries that people have got where they get public funds or what have you. You've got the Library of Parliament in Canada, you have the Library of Congress in the US. This was a library that Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, rahmallahu alayh, actually built himself up by himself, and he would raise the money to buy a book. He would buy a book from here, a book from there, a book here. Some days he would not eat his food so that he could save that money and buy something. When he would run out of money, he would actually do some qadha fast for the marhumin. He would recite qadha salat for the marhumin, for those who had passed away. He would be paid for that, and instead of buying food or anything, he would buy a book. And he would buy manuscripts. And so if you go to this library, if any of you get a chance to go to the city of Qom, I sincerely urge you to go to this library of Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, very famous place. In his will, he wrote to his son that all my life I wanted to do the ziyarah of my grandfather Rasulullah, but I didn't have the money to go for Hajj or ziyarah. So he's requesting his children that with your own money, not with Baytul Mal, not with public funds, with your own money, if you can go to Hajj on my behalf and say salam to my grandfather Rasulullah in ziyarah in Medina Munawwara, please do that. Imagine, this was the one marja who was not al-Hajj. It was narrated that not only throughout Iran, throughout the Muslim world, more people have done Hajj on Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi's behalf than any other alim that we have got. Imagine for a moment. In his will, this is one thing he wrote in his will. The reason why I mentioned to you the names of these ulama was the direct relation to today's discussion. The same Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi wrote to his son, he says, when I die, in the grave, bury with me the handkerchief with which I used to do the azaa of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Bury that handkerchief with me that I used to use. We have not realized, understood, the value of the tears that we shed for Imam Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, and how powerful and how valuable those tears will be for us when we shed tears for the sake of Ahlul Bayt, when we shed tears for the sake of Abu Abdullah. Every one of those tears will take down the degrees of the fire of Jahannam for us and enable us, become a key for us to enter the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and enter the paradise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Those tears. That's why Hazrat Zainab salamullahi alayha said that in case a time or an opportunity arose, as such time arises, where you cannot cry for my brother Hussain, if you cannot cry for my brother Hussain, at least put your head down and make as if you are crying. And the tears don't have to be torrents of tears. We are told that anybody who sheds a tear that is the size of a fly's wing. You've seen flies? You've seen the wing of the fly, how small it is? He says, even if that much of a tear comes out for the sake of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, that will be a shafa'at. That will be an intercession for us. Don't undervalue the importance and the valuableness of the tears that we shed. When we gather to these discussions, this is an opportunity we get to remember the Ahlul Bayt and to remember our own allegiance, because those tears become symbolic of our allegiance to the Ahlul Bayt. Because Ayatollah Safi in his book Fatimiya is Ashura, he mentions, he said that every time you remember Hazrat Fatimah Al-Zahra, you remember Abu Abdullah, that's why we remember Ayyam Fatimiyya, we remember Ashura. It gives us once more the life, the strength and the ability to confront the oppressors of each and every era and each and every day. And that is why Imam Sadiq says, a true believer, every one of you are believers when you understand and believe that kulla yawmin Ashura kulla ardhin Karbala. Your Karbala can be Windsor, your Karbala can be Kitchener, your Karbala is Canada, it'll be London, it'll be Washington, wherever you are, your place is your Karbala, and your day that you are living, every single day is your Ashura. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi writes in his will, this is why I took you on this whole journey. One of the things he writes, in addition to putting the handkerchief that I cried with in my grave so that I can show my grandmother Fatimah Zahra, he says, read the khutbah. He's addressing it to his son. He says, read the khutbah of Fatimah Zahra alayha salam. And he says something very powerful. He says, even the ulama have not understood the khutbah of Fatimah Zahra. Forget about an ordinary person. Forget about me or anybody else who might be just a student of Alif Ba Ta. He says, even the ulama have not understood the khutbah of Fatimah Zahra alayha salam. He says, read it. And believe me, it is slightly lengthy according to our terminologies. But there is so much depth in that khutbah that, you know, when I was asked to just give an overview of what my topic today was going to be, I just blurted out, let's talk about the khutbah of Fatimah Zahra alayha salam. I myself did not realize how powerful and how every single line has a meaning to it. When she was about to go to the door of the Khalifa, and she was about to go because the door or the gate of the Khalifa was in the Masjid al-Nabawi, the masjid of her father. And she was about to go there, and as she goes there, she is wearing a long outfit. She is covered completely from head to toe, as of course you would expect the daughter of the Holy Prophet to. And she is surrounded by an entourage of the servants who are around her, and then she enters Masjid al-Nabawi. And as she enters Masjid al-Nabawi, there are many of the Muhajir and the Ansar who are sitting with the Khalifa, with Abu Bakr ibn Abu Quhafa. And they're sitting there chatting away, and as she enters, they realize that we better put a curtain, a parda there. One of the things that I often get asked, might have been something on your minds as well, perhaps. Maybe in my sister's minds. A few years ago, in the United States, one of the prominent cities of the US, a lady stood forward to lead Salatul Jum'ah. I don't know if I should say lady or if I should say woman. I'll leave that up to you to decide. How's that? A female decided to lead Salatul Jum'ah. Now, you might look at me and say, well, so what? I mean, ladies can lead Salatul Jama'at, so leading Salatul Jum'ah, what's the big deal? Hold on. She announces in this city, she says, I will lead Salatul Jum'ah for both women and men. And a lot of the media, a lot of the writers, a lot of these pro-feminist leaning individuals said, wow, this is a brave step for women's rights in Islam. This is a brave step for the advancement of feminism in a religion that is seen as a religion that is backwards. Na'udhu billah. It is a brave step forward. And so when all this excitement was taking place, by the way, this has calmed down, withered away, and God knows where any of these individuals are. Because right now there's no news of it, there's no such Jummah taking place anymore. I'm talking about before some of you were even born, or might have been very young. And at that time, some of the journalists had come to ask me, so what do you think? How do you feel about this? And how do you say it? What is your opinion? And it was like, you must be excited as well. And I, obviously I had my head down. I said, I would have been excited. There's a problem though. I'm all for women's rights. I'm all for feminist movements as long as they go in the right direction. Islam was the first one who gave women women's rights. I don't want to go into detail, but if any of you want to know anything about women's rights, find out what year women in Canada got the right to vote. Find out when women were considered human beings in Europe. Find out when women were given inheritance rights anywhere in the Western world, the civilized world, the modern world. That's what they say, the modern world, the civilized world. Everybody else is uncivilized. They are the only ones who are civilized, right? MashaAllah. Again, that's a very sarcastic MashaAllah. Na'udhu billah. May Allah forgive me, inshaAllah. My response to this dilemma was that if there is something worthy to be done, if there is something noble to be done, then let us take a look at those who were females over history. And because you're asking about Islamic history, I was telling the journalist, I told her, let us look at Muslim history, Islamic history. Yesterday I was talking about the difference between Muslim history and Islamic history, right? You remember that, I hope, inshallah, those of you who were there. or those of you who are watching online or in other ways. I'm now going to come to Islamic history. Because Islamic history also goes back not just to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Islamic history goes back to Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, Adam and Hawa. Because the real message of Islam is Inna al-Islam huwa taslim. That those who surrendered before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are Muslims. So Ibrahim was a Muslim, Adam was a Muslim, Nuh was a Muslim, Musa was a Muslim, Isa was a Muslim. And that ended with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as all being Muslims and the vanguards of Islam. I said, let's look at Islamic history and find me one lady whomsoever felt it necessary, required, or sublime to lead Salatul Jum'ah or Salatul Jamaat in front of men. Find me one lady. The Holy Virgin Mary, Asiya, Lady Khadija, Fatimah Zahra salamullahi alayha. Look at Hazrat Zainab salamullahi alayha. I says, if you want to open it up to others, let's take a look at some of the other notable, known ladies in Islam. You have got Aisha bint Abu Bakr, you've got Hafsa bint Umar. I said, did any of them lead Salatul Jamaat or Salatul Jum'ah? Find me even the most da'if of narrations. So I said that if there was something noble to be done, none other than Fatimah Zahra salamullahi alayha would have done it, and we don't find any of that in history. And you heard the example yesterday when a blind man comes, she puts on her hijab, saying that yes, he can't see me, but I can still see him. There were examples, countless of this. So what we're saying is, the fact that, or the sad part is, that the environment that we live in, the media that is around us, these are all vanguards of the Iblis and the Shayateen that are around. These are all lieutenants and commanders of Dajjal that are trying to create in our minds doubts about our own identity, doubts about the reality and the haqiqat, and they are trying to confuse the honest people who have got integrity by saying, this is the reality, not this. This is the haqiqat, not this. And that is what is narrated. My sisters and brothers, forgive me for shaking the ground a little bit, but we need to be shaken in order to wake up, right? We are told that when Dajjal comes just at the time of Dhuhur Imam, Ajjalullahu ta'ala Dhuhur Sharif, Dajjal will also come. And Dajjal will have his army, Imam will have his army, right? You know that, you've read all that. I don't need to go into detail, I'm going very, very quickly. Because yesterday I took a little extra time, and so today I have to give a kafara and take less time, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Okay, so my sincere apologies for those of you who were there yesterday. But there was a lot of things I had to share, and so inshallah. So we know that Dajjal will have his army, Imam will have his army, and eventually, in the area that is today is Palestine, they will have a big fight, they will have a big clash, they will have a big confrontation, and inshallah this is the time, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلِ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Batil was surely decided to vanish anyways. That is when the ultimate reality will come out. But coming back to what you're saying, Dajjal will have his army. And many people will join the army of Dajjal. You know why? There's a number of reasons. And one of the du'as that each one of us, I beg you and I implore you, all of you I'm sure are much younger than I am. So as your older brother, as your older friend, I will tell you one thing. One dua you make every day is, Ya Allah, do not let us be baffled or fooled by Dajjal. Because number one, Dajjal will have food at a time when the world will have hunger and famine. There will be hunger and famine around, and Dajjal will have food. Some people will join him for that reason. Dajjal will have a huge army of very attractive, beautiful غير mahram. He will have lots of very pretty girls and very handsome men. And those who are used to looking at the opposite gender with lust and with evil intentions, they will be drawn by that. So another group will join Dajjal. And the third thing Dajjal will have, we have been told in the Rawaya, and any of you want any references, we've got Muntakhab al-Athar fi Imam Thani al-Shar by Ayatollah Safiq al-Paygani. You have got a kitab on Al-Mahdi by Sayyid Sadr. And you've got countless other, Allama Majlisi has got Kitab al-Ghaiba. There's been a lot of references that we can give. You've got ulama here that they can give you more references. And, you can talk to them about it. I'm here today, I'm gone tomorrow, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, both literally and metaphorically. And so, he will have the third thing, what? He will have the top 40 hits. For those of you who don't know, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you. For those of you who know, I'm talking about the music. He will have the top 40 hits. Now I'm talking about top 40 just because I want to try and convey a message, but he might have the top 400 or the top 4,000. So he'll have a genre for anybody who's listening to any kind of music, something that is haram, and you find it attractive, you will be the third, those will be the third group of people that will join Dajjal. And then another group will be following, Dajjal will have with him these showcases, if I can call it that. I don't know how to put it. Help me out, Sheikh, if you get a chance. He'll have these nowadays we can understand what a generation ago or 2 generations ago, I didn't know how to explain this. But now with this virtual reality and artificial intelligence and all this concentration on artificial intelligence, we are forgetting our real intelligence. Everyone's doing artificial, everyone's worried about art. And you've got virtual reality. So Mr. Dajjal, in his virtual reality, he'll have a screen and he'll be showing his Jannah. He'll be showing his paradise. He'll show how much beautiful it is, how really good it is. You can drink all you want. You can dance all you want. You can have all this haram. You can eat whatever you want. That hamburger, that ham, all those things that you weren't allowed. It's all here. Come with me. And then he'll have the other side that will be his Jahannam, his hell. And people say, oh, okay, wow, this is so beautiful. This is so attractive. And it's narrated. One of my teachers explained so beautifully. Sadiq Hassan, Maulana Sadiq Hassan, he said, whoever decides to enter into Dajjal's Jannah will go into Allah's Jahannam. And whoever enters Dajjal's Jahannam as his punishment for not following him, they will go into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Jannah. What I'm wanting to say is, this manipulation is the sign of Dajjal. To make you believe things that are non-existent. To make you feel that this is women's rights, this is feminism, this is reality, this is the haqiqat. And the sad thing is we get fooled. Sisters and brothers, we get fooled easily. They used to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on Jazakallah. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, please. How many times have we been fooled by the media? How many times have we been told that so-and-so country had weapons of mass destruction, we have to destroy it? How many times we were told that this is the most evil entity, we have to destroy it? We've been told that babies have been beheaded and burned. We've been told that, and all of a sudden, whoops. Later on we find out. Years later we find out. Decades later we find out. Weeks later we find out. Oh, that didn't happen. That wasn't real. It was made up. And the sad part is, we still get fooled. I'm not saying we as in any of you guys. I'm talking about the society we live in. And so they present things in a way that does not have reality. It's like a balloon. A balloon has nothing inside. It's just got hot air inside. It's just got air inside. The minute you pop it, it's gone. That's what happens when Dajjal and when these Dajjalis and these shayateen, these little agents of Iblis come, they will have nothing. They don't have reality. They don't have haqiqat. We have to see where is the reality and haqiqat, and that is by following the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and following the example and the teachings of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. That is reality. That is haqiqat. In this khutbah of Fadak, you know how Hazrat Fatimah Zahra starts that khutbah? She first tells the Khalifa, you know I have never lied. That's why you just heard our dear brother reciting, Brother Ahmad recited the ziyarat of Fatimah Zahra alayhi salatu wassalam. In that ziyarah, you refer to her Siddiqatu Shahida. Siddiqa. This was a title given to her by none other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the same Rasul for whom Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, says, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. Muhammad does not speak until we have authorized him to speak. Jazakallah. So the title of Siddiqa came from that essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's teaching, of Allah's order. And then she says, I have never lied and I have never done wrong, so what I am about to do is not wrong. She made it very clear. And not one person from the entire majma of the Muhajir or the Ansar could stand up and say, no, wait a minute, Sayeda Fatimah, Bint Rasulullah, wait a minute, you lied at that occasion, right? I mean, if I was to make a statement, me as Shafiq, was to say, I have never lied, either my nephew will get up or maybe the sheikhs might get up and say, Brother Shafiq, wait a minute, sometimes you've joked to the extent where, or sometimes we had some gatherings, we have had lots of discussions with the boys here. I can see some. I say, well, you know what, Sheikh, there was a time you had to tell a joke or you did this and you really lied. So I will be very careful. I will not make a statement like that. Maybe most of you or all of you will maybe not challenge me and say anything. But if I was to go to my home city in Kitchener and say, I've never told a lie, at least 10 people will stand up and say, oh, come here. We saw you grow up. We saw you when you were little. We know what you've done. Maybe you didn't lie, but you've twisted the truth completely and made it into a pretzel. Oh, okay. So I better keep my mouth shut. So you know one thing. Where you've grown up is going to be different than being a visitor or a visiting scholar in Windsor at Imam Hussain Foundation. And so these were the people who had seen Fatima Zahra and had basically, you can say, grown up with her. And for them to keep their mouth shut and say no reminds us of the example when the Prophet of Islam at Dhul Ashira addressed all the 40 Abus who were sitting there. And those 40 Abus were asked that, if I told you that there was an army behind the mountain, would you believe me? They all said, Naam ya Muhammad, of course we would believe you. If I told you that army was about to attack you, would you believe me? All in unison, all of these old Abus said, yes, Naam ya Muhammad, yes, oh Muhammad, we would believe you. They said, why would you believe me? They said, because we have never heard you utter a lie. Not an easy statement for your enemies to make. Your friends might say it, just to make you happy. But for your enemies to say it, La ilaha illallah, it's a whole different game. Hazrat Fatima mentions that to them. I've never told a lie. Nobody was able to challenge that statement. And then she starts the khutbah. Allahu Akbar. The same way we have a certain sunnah in how we follow, how we recite our khutbahs. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we send blessings upon Prophet Muhammad, and we talk about Ali Muhammad and all that. Hazrat Fatima did the same thing. She started with the praise of Allah, numerous lines on the praise of Allah. One of the things she mentions, he says, all praise belongs to that Allah who created everything from nothing. Allahu Akbar. Who created everything from nothing. And she says, there was no prototype. When you want to create something, you want to build a house, you want to build a center, you want to build a car, you want to build your model airplane that you got, or your little remote control toys or drones. You have to put things together. Those were based on something else. Every flying object we have has been based on birds, right? You know that, right? Everyone is aware of that. We have seen the birds fly. We wanted to fly. We wanted to build something that can fly. We saw animals going from A to B. We build cars to go from A to B in 1/10 of the time, right? So we have seen something and then we built it. The difference is we've needed tools to build things. If I put you in a closed room and I tell you, build me a car, I put you in a closed room, and I tell you, build me a car, I'll give you $1 million cash. I wish I had $1 million cash, but you know what? I'm willing to make that offer. Go into a closed room, I'll give you 3 months, 6 months. You can't open the door. You can't get out, and you cannot have anybody come in. Build me a car from that empty room, I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you $10 million. $1 million is nothing these days, right? I don't know about Windsor, but in many parts of Ontario, like Toronto, $1 million might buy you a shack, a shed, not even a house anymore. $10 million? Who will be able to accept that challenge from me? You can't bring anything in, you can't take anything out, nobody can help you, nobody else. You on your own. You'll say, I think the Sheikh has gone mad, hasn't he? He's lost it. I think these days are getting to him. That 3.5-hour drive must have really knocked him out, right? He's talking nonsense. Why? Because in order for us to build anything, even a small contraption, we need to have what we call raw materials. And the raw materials and you know, whatever else you need, the batteries and then the steel, the wood, and the ability to cut them and size them to the proper proportions and all of that we need, then we can build you anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this whole universe from what? What tools did he have? What did he have? Did he have steel? Did he have metal? Did he have aluminum? Did he have electricity? Did he have light? What did he have? He had nothing. And yet he created. Hazrat Fatimah Zahra is mentioning that. Are these things that we think about? Have we sat down, my sisters and brothers? You're so lucky. As we were driving here, I was telling my nephew, I said that, you know, Windsor is called the rose capital of Canada. You have all kinds of different roses, so beautiful. And one of the things I always try and do whenever I pass by the parks, I look at the roses, I look at the flowers, and I said, I hope the people of Windsor appreciate this. Because it's really easy to just bypass it because it's in front of you all the time. It's there. We take it for granted. We don't appreciate it. Those of us who live in the part of Ontario that I'm from, you know, Niagara Falls is only an hour away. And, you know, we don't go to Tim Hortons only, but we go to see the waterfalls there. And I never take it for granted. Every time it's a special trip. Have we taken the time to smell the roses? It's a figurative statement. Allah Ta'ala has created this whole universe from nothing. Hazrat Fatimah Zahra is telling who this? The Khalifa and the Muhajir and the Ansar. She's bringing about a reality. And you see what she says. She says how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatest thing is to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That khutbah, if I was to give you homework, I don't know if Brother Ahmad or if the shuyukh who are here can give me permission to give my dear sisters and brothers whom I care about and love as a father very much a homework assignment. Will you try to do it, inshallah? Because now you've got Ayatollah Google to help you out, right? It's not difficult. And if you just Google that, the khutbah of Fatimah, khutbah of Fadak. Brother Ahmad, I was asking them if I can have permission to give them a homework assignment. They're probably going to hate me and never call me again after this, but you know what? Inshallah, it might be worth it. Just check out on Google the khutbah of Fatimah, the khutbah of Fadak. You have to, because there are 2 earth-shattering khutbahs she's given. Khutbah of Fadak. See the part about her praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and talking about the qualities, the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what Allah has done by sending Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to us. Then she goes to the part where she's telling the Khalifa and the Muhajir and the Ansar, Muhammad was my father. Can any of you claim that Muhammad was your father? Jazakallah. Thank you. Can any of you claim that Ali is your brother? Nobody could stand. How she opened up the praise to Prophet. I'm not reciting the khutbah, please. I'm just taking very, very short excerpts to come to a point that I need to come to, inshallah. Then she praises Prophet Muhammad, her father, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, it was because of my father that you were saved. You were going towards the fire of Jahannam. You were going to the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My father showed you the guidance. My father showed you the hidayah. What was right, what was wrong. He was the chosen slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who was created before any of you were even created, who was created before anything in the earth or the universe was created. Allah ta'ala created him and his light before any of that. And she's praising the Prophet of how he guided the people. He says, you were destined to destruction. My father's guidance saved you. She didn't even talk about Fadak. She didn't talk about any of that right now. She's just praising Allah. And then she comes to a third part of her khutbah. Please keep in mind, Sheikh, I know you will think that I'm not going to any explanation. I just don't have the time or the ability. I'm not giving the khutbah. Sisters, brothers, I'm not telling you the khutbah. If I had the time and to go through the entire khutbah, we would be here till Salatul Fajr time, and I think that might make Brother Ahmad a bit uncomfortable. So, one salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, please. In a third section of this khutbah of Fadak, she talks about the ibadat that we do, the acts of worship we do. Why is it important to have iman? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala order us to do salah? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us to fast? Why did Allah ta'ala prohibit alcohol? Why did Allah make zina, adultery haram? She goes into an explanation. This is the reason for this. This is the reason for this. That's why I said this is the homework assignment. How I wish I could have gone step by step of what Hazrat Siddiqat al-Tahira was saying. That each of your actions, there's a reason for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just tell you, I aqimus salat, wa atu zakat, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, go for hajj. No, there's a reason. There's a whole philosophy, there's a whole foundation. Hazrat Fatimah Zahra is then skimming through the tip of the iceberg to say that there's a reason for all of that. Sometimes writers of history and certain Orientalists and not necessarily Westerners, but even some Easterners, says, well, it doesn't make sense. Why did Fatimah Zahra ask for a piece of land? Fadak was a piece of land at the end of the day. It was a piece of property. Why would somebody at the position of Fatimah Zahra ask for a piece of property, ask for a piece of land? My sisters and brothers, please, you by now have, I'm sure, understood one thing about me, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Whatever I talk about from the history is also applicable in today, what's happening around us today. That's why they say history is very subjective. History is subjective because it is his story. Whose story? The one who won. Thank you. Exactly. All right, but when we're talking about each other, it's somebody's story. If the Germans would have won World War II, then we would have had a whole different narration of what happened today. If World War I had gone differently, we would have had a whole different recollection in our history class in school. It would have been very different. So it's his story. That's what history is. And so when we look at how the people have tried to make the issue, oh, she wanted a piece of land. Really? She wanted a piece of land. Because that's the same accusation that's given today. Well, why is that group fighting for a piece of land? There's so many other places they can go. There's so many other things they can do. Why only that place? It doesn't matter if that was our first Qibla. It doesn't matter. Why are you going after a piece of land? Come on, there's so much land on earth. There's so much this. The same accusation. Think for a moment. When the Holy Prophet of Islam went on Mi'raj, and the Quran Majid quotes this very beautifully. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanalladhi asra bi'abdihi laylam min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa alladhi barakna hawlahu linuriyahu min ayatina innahu huwa as-sami'u al-basir. Allah Ta'ala called the Holy Prophet, his servant, his slave, to the heavens, called him on Mi'raj, showed him the grand arsh, showed him the grand throne. And at that time, there was a very intimate, personal conversation between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his beloved abd, his habib, his favorite creation, his most beloved makhluk, khayre khalqihi. And that intimate conversation, Allah ta'ala says to the Prophet, "O Muhammad, ask for whatever you want, I will give you. Ask and I will give you whatever you want." The Prophet, in turn, what does he ask for? He says, Ya Allah, protect my ummah. Allahu Akbar. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You ask a young child, sweetie, what do you want? Eid is coming. What do you want for Eid? They'll give you a whole list, won't they? You ask some of the children in society, what do you want for Christmas? They'll give you a whole list, right? They sit on the laps of these old gray-haired, gray-bearded, jolly men. They say, I want this, I want this, I want that for Christmas. And then you ask an elderly man, you come to me, you say, Brother Shafiq, what do you want for Eid? I say, a long life, good health, the ability not to take so many medications, the ability to walk without this cane and stick. That's what I want for Eid. You see how our needs become different? I want to be able to run again. I want to be able to jog again. I want to be able to go to the gym again. Not that I ever went to the gym, but astaghfirullah. Now I wish I could have. Now I wish I had. Huh? It's too late. But you depends on who you ask, you'll get the response. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet, you want anything from the heavens and the earth, you can have it. You want gold, you want silver, you want treasures, you can have anything you want, O Muhammad. And in return, what does Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ask his daughter Fatimah Al-Zahra? He says, Fatimah, you're about to get married. What would you like from me? Yani the Prophet is asking his daughter, ask for anything you want. I can take whatever I want from the arsh of Allah, from the throne of Allah, from the creation of Allah. What do you want? What does Fatimah Zahra say as part of my meher? What does she say? I want to be able to do the shafaat of those who have cried for my Hussain. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I want to take to Jannah, I want to take to paradise all of those who have remembered my Hussain and who had shed tears for him. This is the lady of light. This is Siddiqa Tahira. She's had the ability to have anything and everything. And what does she ask for? Something so small maybe? I'm not saying it's small. I'm figuratively talking, metaphorically speaking. Please understand. So that lady who has got at her disposal everything and anything. Imagine for a moment, in the burning sands of the Arabian desert, on the burning sands of the city of Makkah, Ismail ibn Ibrahim alayhimus salam, Ismail puts his foot down, strikes his foot, and the whole well of Zamzam comes out. This we are talking about the Mawla of Ismail and Ibrahim. If Ismail can have the well of Zamzam that has fed millions, if not billions of Hujjaj till the day of Qiyamah, that will continue to feed them. We are talking about the Mawla of Ismail and Ibrahim. What power do they not have? If Imam Hussain would have snapped one finger, 10 billion or million malaika would have come and assisted him on the plains of Karbala. You see, it's not an issue of land. Fadak was never about land. Hazrat Fatimah saw something that sometimes we don't see ourselves. And when we look at the issues that are facing us today in the global ummah, there is something hidden there that we may not understand or appreciate. It's not an issue of land. It's not an issue of property. There is a very important background that we have to understand. Hazrat Fatimah understood this. Fadak was not the property that the Prophet had given her that she can say, you know what, don't worry about it, let it go to the ummah. Fadak represented the financial, the political, the social, the emotional, and the religious independence of not only Fatimah Zahra's immediate family, but for every lover, every Shia of Fatimah Zahra salamullahi alayha till the day of Qiyamah. The income of Fadak was so much, is so much till today. In those days it was the Khulafa, then Banu Umayyah, then Banu Abbas. Now it's Banu Al Saud. Everybody wants Fadak. Everybody wants that property. Everybody wants the gold. Everybody wants the black gold. Everybody wants the oil. Nobody wants to share anything. But Hazrat Fatimah understood that no Shia will ever need to go before any Khalifa to ask for anything if Fadak was in the hands of Fatimah Zahra and Al Fatimah. If there was to be an independence for the believers and for the Shia and the children of Fatimah, why were they subjugated to so many tortures? Why were they subjugated to so much oppression? Why till today are the Shia and especially the Sayyids suffering so much untold misery? It all came from Fadak. This is a continuation. It never ended, sisters and brothers. The usurping, the thievery, theft, never ended. It continues. And it will continue. The only voice we have is our voice of opposition. The only recourse we have is our non-surrender to the oppressors, to the thieves, and to the usurpers. The minute we close our voice, we have gone against Fatimah Zahra alayha salam. Do you understand? The minute we became silent, my sisters and brothers, we have become proponents and little cronies in the hands of Dajjal when he comes. Dajjal will not start his army when he comes. Remember that. Please understand that. We all think that, oh, okay, we've got a bit of time, we can relax a bit. Okay, we'll wait for the Zuhur to come. No. It doesn't work like that, sisters and brothers. My youngsters, please, my dear university and college and high school and elementary students, it doesn't work like that. Dajjal has already begun gathering his army together, and we must be prepared to get the Imam's army ready together. The issue is now and here, not later. Don't wait till Zuhur Imam. The preparation has to start from today or yesterday. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. How sad it is. Dajjal has already started, and we are still waiting. Inshallah, one day I'll wake up. Inshallah, one day I'll make up my salah. Inshallah, one day I'll make up my fast. Yeah, I missed a bunch. I did this. I ripped that person off. I lied to that person. I did her ghibah. I did his tuhma. Inshallah, one day what one day, brothers? Baba, which one day? Do we have a guarantee that one day will come? Do we have a guarantee that one day might arise? What if it doesn't? Have we tried or made our efforts? I'll tell you one thing. Inshallah, I'm hoping that in question and answer we might be able to address a few things. I'm going to leave you with a golden key today, inshallah. My sisters and brothers, with the permission of the respected ulama, scholars, the children of the ulama, and all of you, dedicated, loyal sisters and brothers, I'm going to leave you with a golden chain today. We want to be in the Imam's army, inshallah? No. There's no emotion in that, please. It's the Shahada night of Fatimah Zahra. You want to be with Fatimah's son or not? I need a louder inshallah. Okay, now with the inshallah, because inshallah means God willing. Now I want all of the youngsters of Imam Hussain Foundation willing. You ready? Start with one thing. Tomorrow morning, the day of the Shahada, right? According to one of the riwayah. There is a dua in Mifatihul Jinan. It is called Dua Ahad. Ain Hay Dal. It is an allegiance to Imam Sahibul Umar, inshallah, Jallallahu Ta'ala Dhuruj. There is a narration that Sheikh Abbas Kummi mentions when he narrates Dua Ahad. He says, on the authority of Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, the Imam whose title was Sadiq. The Imam whose title was? A little louder. Yeah, thank you. I told you yesterday, you have to be involved, otherwise you're going to fall asleep. Or I'm going to fall asleep, right here. So I need your attention and I need you to help me out. I need you to take part. He says the Imam whose title was Sadiq has narrated that whomsoever recites Dua al-Ahad for 40 days consecutively after the time of Subh Sadiq, after they recite their Salatul Fajr, before the sun rises, 40 days consecutively, that person, male or female, will be with Imam Sahibul Umar when the Imam returns. If they're in their graves, the Malaika will come to the graves and they'll take you from your graves and say, your Mawla has come, your Imam has come. Do you want to rest in your grave or do you want to come and help your Imam? Jazakallah khair. Do you want to help your Imam or do you want to stay resting? Of course, we'll say we want to come and help our Imam. That's the whole reason why we lived our life. 40 days. But you see what I said, how the Imam says it. After the time of Subh Sadiq, before the sun rises. That means Salatul Fajr cannot be qada. You cannot lapse that salat. And inshallah, for my sisters, inshallah, even if you're not praying, you can do the salat Dua Ahad in the same timings. From the time of Subh Sadiq till the time that the sun rises, before the sun rises. Recite it for 40 days. The Imam Sadiq, whose title is the truthful one, has said that I promise you will be in the army of the Imam, inshallah. It's not very long. I'm sure it'll take you 3, 4, 5 minutes. There are two versions of it. One of it starts out with Allahumma baligh Mawlaya Sahib al-Zaman. It's a short version. One of it is Allahumma. It starts out that with the Imam, the Rabbul Nur al-Azim. It is a slightly lengthier version. And that one Both of them are there. Both of them are narrated in Mifatihul Jinan, in the chapter of Friday prayers. And you will see that, inshallah, when you recite it for the 40 days, you have done that you've got that golden key in your hand. And I'll share something with you. Shall I share something with you? Thank you. Because only those who deserve to be the Imam's armies, my dear brother, only they will be able to finish 40. I promise you that. If you want to take my neck on that, I will take that responsibility. Because those who don't, let's say, for example, let's say I did 25, 26, 27, and my 28th day, my Salatul Fajr was qada. I missed it. No, you don't continue from 29. You start from 0 again. So a lot of people get frustrated. A lot of people will just give up. Those who deserve to be in the Imam's army, put a challenge to yourself. If you start today, the 3rd of Jamadi Thani, tomorrow, inshallah, then inshallah, by the end of Rajab, you will have made your 40 days. Before the end of Rajab, inshallah. It's a challenge. And that's my secret to you. That those who don't deserve it, they will not be able to finish it. Those who deserve it, those whose hearts are in the right spot, those who will feel the pain of Fatimah Zahra alayhi salam, and who will feel that dedication and allegiance to Imam Sahib al-Amr, they will be able to complete that 40 days and say, Mawla, labbaik, we are ready to fight with you. We are ready to be alongside you. We are ready to be with you, Mawla. We completed one part of our job. One part of our job. And then, of course, there's lots of other things. You know, the self-reformation, the self-development, following, all that is going to be secondary. But set a target for yourself, my sisters and brothers. In English terminology, they call this MBO. Those who are in business and management will understand what MBO means. It means management by objective. You know, when you go to a store, many of those department heads and those managers and supervisors, they have got something from head office that is called, that is called their target. To reach their target is their goal, their job. Their staff, their supervisors, the department heads have to all be in line with MBO, management by objective. You've got an objective, you want to do this, you want to do A, B, and C. Everybody has to be a part of the team. You know what? Set up teams if you want. Get 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of you together. Sisters help each other out. Brothers help each other out. If you know that, for example, I sleep really deeply, I have a very bad sleep, then I'll tell Abbas, please wake me up. And Brother Naeem will say, okay, you know what, I'll wake up Hadi. Because you know what, sometimes we are sleeping, we don't wake up so easily. I'm a bit lazy, I'm a bit lax. Help each other. Help each other for goodness. Help each other when you're serving the Imam, and you will see the fruits. The seeds have already been planted. Now we all have to water those plants. We have to water those trees. Because like I said, Dajjal is already on his way to getting his army ready. And you can see the army of Dajjal around you. Don't you see it? You see it, right? I don't need to go into detail. I don't want to go into detail. But then you look around. How come the army of the Imam is just very few here, very few here, a few soldiers here? Believe me, we have got the Malik Ashtars of our time. We have got the Kumail and the Burayri Hamadanis. We have got today in our midst, in our presence, we have got the Abbas ibn Ali, the Abbas al-Amdar. We have got the Abul Fadl Abbas. We have got the Malik Ashtars. The problem is that all of those Malik Ashtars and the Abul Fadl Abbas and the Burayri Hamdani and the Habib ibn Madahir, the problem is they don't have the soldiers because I am not ready yet. Imagine how sad they are. Imagine how upset our Imam is. That they know I'm coming anytime, and Brother Shafiq has done nothing. He's not preparing himself. He's done 0, and he claims to be my lover. He claims to be my Shia. As part of our dedication to Fatimah Zahra alayhi salam, let's bring about that change in our own lives, one by one step by one step. We're not telling you to go out and do this and that and great events and feats. Let's start with one key at a time. This is my humble request to you as we remember this shahadat, the Lady of Light's shahadat. And as we see how a tragic day it was for the entire family of the Holy Prophet, how we see somebody who is as courageous and valorous as Ali ibn Abi Talib. The historians narrate that when Ali alayhi salam was giving the ghusl, was preparing the body of Hazrat Fatimah Zahra for the shrouding. From the room where he was giving the ghusl, there was tears coming out of the Imam's eyes. It was narrated that the Imam fell unconscious on a number of occasions. It took a lot longer than anybody at any other time that the Imam had given ghusl to anybody else, had given the burial, washed anybody else. Somebody goes to him and says, Ya Ali, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya, oh son of Abu Talib, what was the reason why you were crying torrents of tears when you were giving the ghusl to Fatimah Zahra? Imam Ali replies that when I was giving the ghusl, I saw the injuries on Fatimah Zahra. I saw her badly. I saw how badly she was injured, but never once did she complain, and never once did she say, Ya Ali, this is happening to me, Ya Ali, this is happening to me. And the Imam, as he was preparing the burial in 40 different places, Imam made a grave in 40 different places throughout Medina. The Imam put some sort of a sign that there is a grave made, because he did not want anybody to know where is the grave of Fatimah Zahra, lest they cause any desecration or disrespect to it. Ya Ali, our salams, our salutations on your sabr. As he was preparing the body for laying down into the grave, he looks towards Masjid al-Nabawi. He addresses Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, you left an amanat. You left a trust with Ali. You left a trust with Ali, and that trust is coming back to you, Ya Rasulullah. Damage, Ya Rasulullah. This is like a flower from the flowers of heaven. The flower is now gone, but the fragrance of this flower remains. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain are crying for their mother, remembering their beloved mother. Zainab and Kulthum in their home are shedding tears. Where is our mother? What happened to our mother Fatimah? Even Hazrat Fidda, even the lady servant Fidda is crying tears and torments of tears. But she has to be strong for the sake of Zainab and Kulthum, who are now orphaned. Allah accept this ibadat from us. Forgive our sins. Give us the tawfiq to remain away from sins. Ya Allah, let us act on the teachings of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, allow us to give the condolences to the Prophet's family today on this shahadat, one of the shahadat nights of Fatimah Zahra alayhi salam. Ya Allah, protect our ulama, our maraja, the wali faqih, those who are serving while the Imam is in occultation. Grant success and strength to the resistance against the oppressors, Ya Allah. We ask you, we pray, Ya Allah, to make us amongst the ashab of the Imam and hasten the return of Imam al-Hujjah. And inshallah, let us be able to see zamana al-dhuhur with our own eyes. Rabbana taqabbal minna. Innaka anta as-sami'ul alim. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, followed